Well, the whole world's reacting to these results, and of course, the European Union will be most affected. CCTV's Kate Parkinson is now joining us live from Brussels for more on that. Kate, we've seen the reaction there out of London, but what is the word coming out of the European Union?
Well, Brussels is in shock, and there's no disguising the alarm that is spreading across the European Union. Austria's foreign minister described the Brexit as a political earthquake for Europe. Germany's deputy chancellor was more abrupt. He tweeted this morning, "Damn, this is a bad day for Europe." The president of the European Council, Donald Tusk, said there is no disguising the fact that they wanted the opposite result. The Brexit was not the result they wanted. He said they were shocked. He said this is a politically disruptive move. There is no disguising how disruptive those political consequences are going to be. Certainly, Europe very much bracing itself for the coming days, weeks, months, even years of this Brexit. Some were slightly more optimistic, though, seeing this as a turning point. The Czech Republic's Europe minister said this is the end of the European Union as we know it, but it's not the end of the European Union. This is a new beginning, he said. Also, we've been hearing calls for reform, people highlighting the fact that the referendum in the UK indicates that the European Union has lost touch with the people of Europe. Italy's Prime Minister said it is time to change the European Union to make it more humane and more just.
Well, Kate, what steps is the European Union now going to have to take to allow that British exit?
This is going to become clear in the coming days. Certainly, there is an EU leaders summit here in Brussels next week. David Cameron will be attending, but Donald Tusk said there will be informal talks on the sidelines, which Cameron will not be included in. And what we're going to see today is EU officials scrambling to prepare for a pre-summit crisis meeting, which is taking place this weekend. So lots of talks happening in the coming days. The big question here in Brussels is, will they opt for a quickie divorce? And when I say quickie, we're still talking about some 2 years of Brexit negotiations, or will they be opting for the most painful and difficult Brexit possible? There is a chance that they'll choose this latter option, if only to try and discourage other countries from following in the UK's footsteps. There is growing anti-EU, anti-Brussels sentiment across the European Union. We've already heard calls since the Brexit result was announced in France and the Netherlands from their leaders of their far-right parties, calling for a so-called Frexit in France, a Nexit in the Netherlands. I mean, we give them these funny nicknames, but these are very serious calls from the far-right parties in France and the Netherlands, and there is a very real fear here in Brussels that we could be seeing a further unravelling of the European Union. So, of course, while we're all very keen to find out how the EU is going to respond to this Brexit vote, actually the priority here in Brussels is not going to be the one member they're losing, but the 27 other members that they desperately want to hang on to.
Right, Kate Parkinson for us there in Brussels. Well, British nationals living abroad have been expressing their shock over the vote results. Britons living in Europe will be especially affected. In Germany, both Britons and Germans have been reacting to Brexit.
Deeply saddened, essentially, I would say. I couldn't quite believe it when those results came in. I'm deeply saddened about the state of politics and the way things are in the UK. And how did we get to this? It's very, very saddening, unfortunately.
There will be a great crash now, and after a while it will calm down and continue as before. We now have one payer less, the second largest payer in the European Union. This is going to be the greater problem for us.
And plenty of social media reactions as well from across the world. Let's take a look.
33,568,184 Britons cast their vote. It was reported to be a bigger voter turnout than the last British election at 72%. And the result had people talking. Oxblood Raffin 3.0 sees this vote as a demand for Scotland's independence. Scotland and Northern Ireland was set to gain more had Britain stayed within the European Union. Snowden said that no matter the outcome, it shows how quickly half of any population can be convinced to vote against itself. Finlay Stewart was rather upset that he will now require a visa to do his job. And finally, Richard Coltart feels the decision will affect future generations negatively. Catherine Omwando, CCTV.